Good morning, friends. I wanted to share with you a little bit of the data that we've been collecting so far, but I did want to offer a quick preview or review of the mid-quarantine check-in that we had completed this past few days. So, as you know, we've been using a lot of our opportunities this year to hone in on our expectations and connect with each other about how we're feeling. How are things going in class? How are you feeling as a student? How are you feeling with the expectations of work and social interactions and things like this? Since we've been away from school, a lot of our dynamics have changed a little bit, and I just wanted to check in with everybody to see how you're feeling and how things are going for you. So the questions I asked were totally anonymous as far as like the data goes, but the questions I asked are more to kind of help tell the story of whose viewpoints are being expressed more or less, and then where are there some similarities that we can discuss and talk about. So our first question was, what grade are you in? The second question was, academically speaking, how would you rate or describe your performance in my class, either history or geography, before we were dismissed in March? On a scale of 1 to 5, struggling big time or totally on top of your game. Academically speaking, how would you rate or describe your overall performance in school before we were dismissed? So this was more around not just my class, but your entire school day experience. Same thing, struggling big time or on top of your game. And then I had some open-ended questions. So since we transitioned to online learning, how would you describe your performance? Since we've transitioned to online learning, what has been your biggest challenge? Since we transitioned to online learning, what has been your biggest accomplishment? And then when thinking about the overall workload, as in for all work for all classes, how would you describe it? With 3 indicators. There's way too much work. I can't possibly get it all done. Totally stressed out. There's a fair amount of work, but I can get it all done on time. There's no problem. And I get all of my work done quickly. It seems easy. There's really not that much to do. I'm not stressed at all. My hope is that most kids would be feeling in the middle, with a few kids that are, we know that you have let me rephrase that. We are aware that there are some kids that finish early, and we know that there are some kids that have yet to turn in their first assignment. So natural bell curve of how things flow. We want most people to be feeling good, with small pockets feeling too stressed or too not stressed at all. So anyways, moving forward. Based on your new learning environment, I was really curious about the time, like the timing of day that you work on your stuff. Between 8 and 10, 10 and 12, 12 and 2, after 2, but before 8, and then after 8. All of the assignments that do get turned in have a timestamp attached to them. And I was starting to notice a pattern, but wanted to hone in on a clear question first before I just made assumptions. So based on your learning environment, what time do you do school? And when you are doing school, how would you describe the distractions that are around you? Do you have younger or older siblings that you have to take care of? Are you watching too much TV? Did you recently finish the series on Netflix that's called like The Outer Banks? Oh my God, I did it all in one day and it was just way too much. Or TikTok, which is my new favorite time sucker. And then do these distractions get in your way of learning? And then we have our National Parks Project. So these are questions that are specific to the work that you're doing for me. This project is broken up into 6 assignments to carry us through to the end of the year. We've basically got around 6 weeks left. So far, have you been able to keep up? And for the most part, there's 4 assignments that have not been turned in by a couple of kids. So My perception is based on the number of completed assignments. Your perception of are you able to feel like you're keeping up is really dependent upon your perspective of how you feel as far as like the work goes. Do you feel that you're rushing, or do you feel that you're falling behind, or do you feel that you're totally fine? So I'm looking for some qualitative data here. If you are working with a partner or in a team, do you think your partner or teammates are doing their fair share of the work? The hardest part about being on a team, the hardest part in my view of doing a group project, is coming to consensus around what expectations are, making sure that you are able to communicate with your partners. I want to just pause here and bring up a conversation that happened in class yesterday. There was expressed a person who is on a team who truly feels that they and another person are doing far more work than their third group member. And they asked me if I would talk to that student who isn't pulling their fair share. And I said no, only because I'm not part of that team. And when I have a hard time communicating my needs to somebody or discussing a plan I have, it's usually hard at first, but it's really helpful if you're able to just, have those hard conversations. So I encouraged this student and their partner to approach this kid and say, look, we don't think that you are doing your end of the deal. When you're able to hold each other accountable, it works better and it feels better than if the teacher comes into the conversation and says, hey, no fair, this is all done, I'm taking over, this is the deal. So I really want this to be an opportunity where you guys are able to develop those communication skills. Have a hard conversation. You can still be friends with somebody even if you don't appreciate their work habits. You don't have to necessarily accept behavior that you don't like because you're afraid that you're going to upset your friend's feelings. If they're your friend and they want to support you, they will hear you. So, word of wisdom from the old lady here. And then our last question about this piece is, if you use social media platforms like Instagram, Snapchat, or Facebook, have you followed your national park page? I follow all national park pages. A lot of the ideas that I got for this particular project came from Instagram. So it seems kind of like a no-brainer to me that we would just kind of continue to connect those pieces and rely on social media. But I think you'll be surprised at the results of this question. And then our last section is kind of around this idea of a socially distanced distance social. So I would love to have, if you guys are interested, opportunities from now until the end of the year where we can just connect, not necessarily talk about school, not talk about academics, but just create a space within the platforms that we have, like Zoom or Google Meets, where we can just come together and talk and have a sandwich, or, it's not Monday, feels like Monday. It's Tuesday. I'm having my Tuesday morning coffee, making a movie. Would it be possible? Would anyone be interested in having breakfast with a small group or lunch with a bunch? See what I'm saying? Opportunities for social interaction. I'm just curious. So the answers are yes, no, or maybe. Sounds a little weird, and you're going to need more information. Having a distant social is a little hokey. It does sound a little bizarre, but I think there's great comfort that can come from connecting like this, even if we aren't necessarily in the same room. We still have an opportunity to connect and be face to face and have conversations. So, open opportunity. So, that is the survey question. And now I want to share with you the results. So far, we have 43 responses. This is really exciting. There is actually a 50-50 split between the 7th graders who have completed this survey and the 8th graders who've completed it. So from a data standpoint, we have equal representation of voice, choice, and perspective. This really excites me, and it's data, and I'm old, but anyways. Let's look at this. Academically speaking, how would you rate or describe your performance in my class before we were dismissed in March? Most kids reported feeling at about a 4. 4 being really good. 5 was I'm totally on top of my game. So most kids were feeling in the middle, pretty good, or really good, which is amazing. I appreciate that kind of self-reflection because my spread would look quite similar. Academically speaking, how would you rate or describe your overall performance in school before we were dismissed in March? And we have, some kids that are struggling, feeling okay, feeling good, feeling really good. So we have like this general trend, which is awesome because I don't believe there's anyone that has completely tanked and has really struggled in all classes at all times. So this is kind of reflective of a reality that I see too. Now this bunch of data looks different. So we're going to copy that and I'll come back to it because there's a lot of responses that are all different. So about the same, like as you hover over each one of these, there's lots of information and responses. There's 42 responses, but the way that this particular graph aggregates it, it's not quite good enough for what I'm hoping to see. But I'll work on it and I'll have a printed copy available, or not a printed copy, a printable copy available. And same thing with this. Since transitioning, the biggest challenge for the most part, social media, like TikTok, I get it. But the other biggest challenge that many kids reported having was the distractions that come from watching younger or older siblings. The responsibility that many of your middle school peers have is so far beyond what I had expected. Like I knew that many of you have younger brothers and sisters, but I did not realize the degree to which you are responsible for them. So that was news to me, and it's kind of helping me to rethink or reshape my perceptions on what work from home can look like for you. All right. Since we transitioned to online learning, what has been your biggest accomplishment? Staying in a 3 for science, that's pretty impressive. I'm doing better in Mr. Lord's class. Getting all of their work done, catching up, completing assignments. For example, last week, this person finished all of their week's assignments by Tuesday for every class, which makes me wonder if I should be spreading out my projects or if I should just stick to like by this day. So I'm using this information as a lot of feedback. And I can't wait to share it with your other teachers. So turning in work on time, doing well on projects, getting Campbell's work done. Someone doesn't really feel that they have an accomplishment. And if that's how you feel, then I honor that. But I think the obvious accomplishment is you all have made this transition to online learning like that. There was no training. We had a day to practice logging into Google Classroom, and then we were gone. And the fact that you're able to be successful and to continue to do so well, that is a huge accomplishment. And that's what I am most proud of for each and every one of you. Looking down at our list, confidence in math as science is getting better. That's wonderful. Work done, getting better grades. Grades are going up a little by little. That's wonderful. Since we transitioned to online learning, biggest accomplishment is probably keeping up with all of your work and getting good grades and sometimes getting better grades than before. You can't ask for much more success than that. So, well done. When thinking about the overall workload as in all work for all classes, how would you describe it? We've got about, based on our 100% total, a little over a quarter of kids, or out of 42 middle schoolers, 12 of them are starting to feel really overwhelmed. We've got a few kids, 11%, total of 5, are reporting that they're getting all of their work done. There's no stress. It's not a problem. But we've got about 60%, about 25 kids, that feel things are good just the way they are. And when you think about a bell curve, you want to have a few people feeling, really, really good on one side, most people feeling okay, going with the flow, and then a few people that are struggling. And we kind of have that working out. There's a few too many kids that are struggling. And I would love to, if you had selected this blue box, I would really love to hear from you. As you know, this wasn't an anonymous resource or an anonymous survey. But if you do feel that you're struggling, have you communicated that to your teachers? Do you know what that struggle is coming from? So opportunities for conversations. Your new learning environment. I love this. All right. So 31% of you do your schoolwork between 8 o'clock and 10 o'clock in the morning. 42.9%, almost 43%, do all of your work between 10 and 12. So most kids, around 70-ish, 73, 74% of you, almost 3/4, spend a lot of your time right in this area. Between 8 and noon, you get your work done. Then we have these other interesting slivers. 4 kids, or a total of 9.5%, do your work between 12 and 2. A couple of kids do their work between 2 but before 8. And then we've got this bizarre group that totally freaks me out because I'm tired by the end of the day still. But 5 of you, 11%, do all of your work after 8 p.m. Interesting. But I wonder, are you sleeping later in the day and you're just up all night and that's why you do your work so late? So these are the questions that I have. When you are doing school, how would you describe the distractions around you? So this was the interesting one that I'm really curious about. So, and if you have these distractions, are they getting in your way of learning? So let's start. One person, not distracted at all. And then we have TikTok, younger siblings, phone, social media, TikTok, younger siblings. You're going to start to see a pattern. Turning off your notifications on your phone. I saw that this one kid had done that, which I thought was really cool. Like how amazing of the ability to say, you know what, my phone constantly dinging, telling me I have a notification is a distraction. I'm going to turn off my announcements. Brilliant. A lot of times making that step is hard. So that was pretty interesting. Younger siblings, again, distractions on the phone. Animal Crossing is apparently a game. I'm going to check it out this week. I don't know what it is, but I'm very much intrigued if it keeps you up until 2 a.m. PlayStation 4, I get it. General problems of feeling focused. A brother, younger sibling. What else do I see here? Watching YouTube, listening to music, phone. You don't use your phone until you're done with your work, so that's good. TikTok, there we go. Your family can be a distraction. Waking up earlier. Okay, let's see. Family, having other engagements. Sister, so it's a sibling. Yeah. So between electronics, the app specific that I noticed a few times was TikTok, but The chief distraction I noticed, or at least in my view, is the sibling piece. So interesting. This project is broken up into 6 assignments. So far have been able to keep up. So 88, yep, we're able to do it. And then we have 11% that are saying no, they're falling behind. If you're working with a partner or on a team, do you think your partner or teammates are doing their fair share? 83% say yes, you are a good, hardworking team. 16% say no. And I wonder if there's a correlation between these kids that are reporting that they're falling behind and these kids that are reporting that some people are not doing their fair share. I wonder if there's a connection. And if you're using social media platforms like Instagram, Snapchat, or Facebook, have you followed your national parks page? And 92% are not, which is surprising. And 7.1% are. So I would love to see this number increase from 3 to, everybody. It's an amazing resource. And they usually have amazing pictures and videos, and it's quick. You can just scroll by. If you're already going to be distracted, if you trick yourself into thinking that you can do work on Instagram, maybe it won't feel like such a distraction to you. Maybe. And then our last question, I liked this pie chart too. So 42%, yes, we would love to have some social time, some distant socials. 35% are like, maybe it sounds weird, I have questions. And then we have 9 firm no's. So continue to complete the survey if you have not already. The data does tell us a good story. Out of 64 kids, we've heard from 42, which is, pretty good. So anyways, I am available to you all of the time. Just send me some emails or messages or whatever it is you need. But I'm going to post this video. If you have questions, comments, or concerns, or if you want to have other surveys that kind of address different things, I'm happy to create them for you. So today is Tuesday. We've got class tomorrow at 10. There's still indicators at 11 o'clock for 7th graders. I've been trying to cancel the 11 o'clock meeting for weeks, and I don't know how to make it go away. So I will be having joint 7th and 8th grade class time on Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays from 10 to 11. It's always optional, but I would love to see you. So I hope you have a good day. I miss you very much, and thank you for completing my survey.